The financials modules provides the backbone of the software. All transactions recorded in here as you'd expect. The general ledger looks reasonably familiar, and all your GL codes do migrate over from the desktop version. A couple of key changes I'll just note. For our profit and loss layout, there's no longer header and totaling accounts. It's all designed and operated through this drag and drop functionality. So if you want to move your accountancy's fees down to there, that's easy enough to do. If you want your finance expenses to total to its own account in here, it's easy to just drag and drop those in there. You'll find that the data integrity is strong, so if you have a GL code that has nowhere to sum into, when I come into the reports, I'll be told that I can't run this because there is an ungrouped GL code. So it's as simple as just moving that GL code up again, and now I can run all of those reports. So that grouping is the same for the balance sheet and the profit and loss. On migration, we set those up so that they're pretty similar to what you had in your desktop layout. You can import and export your chart of accounts, and we do use the importing the profit and loss, but if you've got a lot of GL codes that you do want to group together, you can export that and re-import it. You'll also see there that there's the ability to export all GL transactions, and that includes a lot of information in there, including the posted date and time, which is a really handy option to have in there. We sometimes see GL codes that are obsolete in migrations. So we've introduced the ability to simply deactivate a GL code. Now there's some validation around that. Once the GL balance is 0, you can deactivate it, and that will just mean that GL code is no longer available for use, but will still report on all of your financial reports if it has transactions in that period. One really nice ability is the option to filter down to the posted date. So we quite frequently get queries about who has posted something after a particular close-off date. And in here we can come and have a look at these journals that have been posted. And if I want to have a look at who changed something in the last financial year, I can simply filter down to the last financial year. I can see that transaction there, but I can also have a look at the posted date. So I can have a look at who posted that in this current financial year, and I can see that this transaction was posted. When I come into an inquiry, I discover that it was Infusion support, and we can tell exactly when it was posted and what date. So a really nice ability to drill down into those transactions and figure out what might have changed in the intervening period. On that note, the lockout dates have had an addition. So in addition to our standard lockout dates of preventing all transactions after and before certain dates, we've added a customer's lockout date, and that allows you to, once your customer statements have been sent out, to prevent any accidental posting of invoices or adjustments that were in that previous period. So there are no unexpected updates to your customer balances after the statements have gone out or after you've processed your salespeople's commissions. So we'd anticipate that as early in the month you'd set this lockout date, and then later in the month, once you've completed all of your transactions and GST transactions for the month, you'd set your lockout dates for the full system in there. Our cashbook receipts and payments operate much the same way. The ability to load them as recurring has had that same update, so you're able to load occurrences in there for your cashbook receipts and payments, and again process them direct to the bank or via those banking methods. You are able to reverse cashbook transactions. So if I was to come in and have a look at previous ones, I can just actually elect to reverse that transaction out. Our journals, much the same with a couple of additions. So we have got the ability there to import a journal, and that uses exactly the same file structure as a journal, importing a journal into the desktop version, is that file structure is available on the knowledge base, but that's to allow, if you've got journals that you're using currently, to use that same file structure to import. You're able to create recurring journals, opening journals, accrual or recurring accrual journals. And also, once I'm in a journal, I can import the lines in here. So that's just another option to actually bring in the lines into the journal. Once I've done that, I can go through and create my journal. And once it balances, does that balance? Yes, I can post the journal. But I can also look back at my list of journals there. Again, come in, do an inquiry, see exactly who posted it and when. And also the ability to just reverse that journal. And once that's reversed, I can see it there as a reversal, but it just allows you in one step to create that reversing journal. The bank reconciliation has had a full rewrite, and we have partnered with Yodlee to allow bank feeds. If I come into my integration settings, you can see here I've got bank feed settings. I can link my bank accounts with Yodlee. That takes you through to a Yodlee fast link page. Once you've completed the setup with Yodlee, you'll be able to see your linked bank accounts in this list here. And I can then come into my bank accounts and link a particular bank account to a Yodlee bank feed account. This will mean your bank transactions will come in daily into your bank account, and you'll be able to reconcile them directly from there. If Yodlees are not available, or it's an account that can't be linked through Yodlee, you are able to just import your bank transactions directly into the bank account. It's as easy as just importing directly. So if I come in here, I can either drag or drop my transactions in, or I can elect to import them from a saved download from the bank account. So you'll see in here it's quite a different look and feel. On the left hand side here I've got the truth. This is what actually happened to my bank account, so those are the imported transactions. And over here we've got the matching side for those transactions. You can see here I've imported a transaction for the Inland Revenue Department, and it's matched it up to a cash book payment that I had previously processed. So it's saying I think those two match, and I can just reconcile that to move it off there. Where there are a number of options, you'll see that I get some options in here. It's going to tell me why the software thinks that these are the correct options. So I can even just post and reconcile that cash book receipt directly from there. So that's just creating those transactions directly from the bank account. No need to do all that processing beforehand. You can come in and process these directly in here. If there's one that you're not quite sure about, we're not quite sure whether any of these transactions are quite right, I can still just come through to my customer payment, look up the correct customer, select them and process a full payment, and actually post and reconcile that directly back into my bank account. You'll see here down the bottom I've got a rent payment. Now last month I processed that to my rent GL account, so despite there being nothing in here about rent, it has learnt that that particular reference on the bank transaction matches to rent, so it's going to suggest it goes directly to the bank, to the rent account, and I can just post and reconcile that transaction immediately. To see what has been imported in the past, we can come in here and have a look at these transactions that have been imported. We can see the statements. If there's any errors made, we can remove these from here. And a nice ability is also to look through transactions that have been processed. So these are transactions that have been processed in the software and haven't yet been reconciled. But there's also the ability to come in and actually have a look at my reconciled statement. So that's going to give me a list of all time searchable and filterable down to search for all of these transactions. And again, from there, I can click through, do an inquiry. If it was posted in the new software, we'd see exactly who posted it. But it also gives us the ability to drill down into some of these reconciled transactions, to come and have a look at this bank deposit, have a look at what was posted and paid, have a look at that customer payment, did it pay the right thing, and drill right down as far as into the invoice, and again, being able to have a look at that inquiry. So we can drill right down from the bank reconciliation, and as I work back through, I get back in here. If I've made an error in there, there is the ability to reverse this bank deposit, and then I can reprocess it so I've got exactly the right information that I'm processing. In our deposits list, again, we can see all those deposits, but also the ability to look back on direct credits that have been processed for our suppliers, and that same ability to drill right through and even reverse that direct credit or reprint the direct credit schedule. The close-offs will become much less important than lots of you will be used to. There's no need to close it off to get all those transactions off the screen. That happens as you are reconciling them. But we do recommend closing off your bank account maybe once a week if it's a really busy one, or once a month. And that just gives you a line in the sand to say, yes, I checked my closing balance in my bank account and it matches what I've got here in Infusion, and just allows you to say exactly who closed it off at what date and time. And from that close off, we can come through and see that there were no unreconciled bank transactions at the time, but I've still got 2 unrepresented items as I close that off. In our GST returns, you can see this user hasn't closed off their GST returns, but just that same ability to actually have a look at your GST returns, to look at that audit report. And again, if you want to know why something's in here, jump into the customer adjustment, link through to all those transactions. And there's really nice filters in here as well to look at. Okay, I just want to have a look at the income, or I want to have a look at the GST type that these were processed at. And I can also run my standard reports and export the audit. Now, once I'm happy with my GST return, I can come in and just close that off. There's no ability to undo that close off. It's an important step. So once it is closed off, any future transactions in that date period will obviously go to the next GST return. But you can come in here, you can see I've got migrated GST returns from way back in 2018. I can still come back in here and look at all of these items. And even though this data is migrated from the desktop version, I can still come through and link through into those purchase order invoices and have a full look, and again just run the reports and export the audit. So all of that data is saved and readily available to you at all times. As I look into my inquiries, my GL accounts, again, we've got the options here to have a look at inquiries. If there's no transactions whatsoever, I can delete it. I can export the GL transactions for this particular GL code, or I can duplicate the GL code, and that's a really nice option to make sure it slots into the same place on our profit and loss or balance sheet layout as this current one. Having a look at the inquiry, again, there's a really strong filter searching ability. We can search through and have a look for anything that has Lucy, and you can see I've filtered straight down into that particular transaction. Those same filters on the posted date. In our balances, those balances will be retained. There's no purging of financial data, so your financial transactions will be available for all time. There's not just going to be 3 retained there, so you'll be able to go back and print profit and loss and balance sheets from more than the 3 years that we see in desktop. In our budget versus actuals, you'll see we've got our budgeted and our variance amounts. So there's a lot of ability to see through and have a look and click through all of those transactions and see exactly what's happened. Our budget screen is fairly familiar. We can add budgets for new years and add multiple budget types. The ability to just import from the previous year, so I can import from here or from a CSV file, and that CSV file is the same structure as has been used in the past. So you'll see in here we've got all that same ability to add in, apply percentages across my budgets, and load those and save those against different budget types. You will notice when I mentioned exports, for those of you using accountants for specific requirements, we've just got it. You'll see it in those exports, people using accountants who have specific export requirements. There's the two exports to Accountants Office and CCH. And again, just reiterating that option to have a user who is loaded as a special system role, which is an accountant, which allows them to come in and access the software and process journals and things without needing to take up one of your sessions. So there's no need for you to log someone out so that they can get access.